The wind has been blowing for 3 days. Snow has filled the tracks outside the shelter. The fire is low. Every branch near camp is damp, and the temperature will fall again after sunset. There is no brick wall, no glass window, no furnace waiting behind a door. Yet people lived through winters like this long before permanent houses, central heating, or modern clothing existed. So, how did ancient humans survive the cold? The first answer is easy to imagine. They found a cave, but caves were never a complete solution. They were not available everywhere. Some were wet, exposed to wind, difficult to reach, or already used by animals. A cave could block rain and snow, but bare stone also absorbed heat. Smoke could collect inside. Food still had to be found. Fuel still had to be carried. A cave was shelter. It was not a survival system. The deeper answer begins with movement. Many early human groups did not remain in one place all year. They followed animals, plants, water, and changing seasons. A valley that was dangerous in deep winter might be useful in summer. A windy plateau could be abandoned for a lower, more protected landscape. Moving away from the worst conditions was not failure. It was technology made from knowledge. People had to remember where rivers froze, where herds passed, where wood could be found, and which rock shelters stayed dry. The map was not written on paper. It lived inside the group. But migration could not solve everything. Weather changed. Children slowed travel. Injuries happened. Food disappeared. At some point, people needed to stop and build protection where none existed. Long before modern houses, early humans were making shelters from the materials around them. At Terra Amata, in present-day France, archaeologists found post holes and traces interpreted as large shelters dating back roughly 400,000 years. Much later, Ice Age communities in parts of Eastern Europe built structures using wood, hides, earth, and even large mammoth bones. These were not stone houses with permanent roofs. They were carefully shaped barriers against moving air. That mattered because wind steals warmth. A low shelter reduced the amount of space that bodies had to heat. Hides could block drafts. Grass, branches, and earth could trap pockets of air. An entrance could face away from the wind. A hearth could be placed where its warmth reached people without filling the entire space with smoke. The first breakthrough was not creating a warm building. It was creating a smaller climate inside a hostile one. But even the best shelter could not save a body that was losing heat through bare skin. Clothing changed the equation. Animal hides were not ready-made coats. They had to be removed, cleaned, scraped, softened, cut, pierced, and joined. Stone scrapers helped prepare hides. Awls could punch holes. Strips of animal tissue or plant fiber could lace pieces together. Neanderthals used scrapers and awls and likely wore clothing. Later, modern humans produced bone and ivory needles that made tighter, better-fitted garments possible. That difference was enormous. A loose hide protects one side of the body. A fitted garment moves with you. Sleeves, leggings, footwear, and layered coverings reduce the gaps where warm air escapes. Clothing turned the body itself into the center of the shelter. Now, a person could carry part of the house wherever they went, and that is where the story changes. The main winter problem was not simply cold air, it was energy. A shelter needed fuel, a body needed food. Both were burning through stored energy every hour. Fire provided warmth, light, cooked food, protection, and a place for people to gather. Evidence of controlled hearths reaches far back into human history. But a fire in winter created another chain of work. Wood had to be collected before snow buried it. Damp fuel had to be dried. Embers had to be protected. Someone had to notice when the fire weakened. A group that waited until darkness to search for fuel had already made a dangerous mistake. Winter survival depended on preparation before the crisis arrived. The same was true of food. Cold weather raises the cost of staying warm, while winter landscapes can make plants scarce and hunting uncertain. Large animals offered meat, fat, hides, sinew, and bone. But hunting them was dangerous and unreliable. Success had to be shared because no individual could guarantee the next meal. This made cooperation more than a social preference. It became insulation. One person could gather fuel while another repaired a hide. Someone could watch children while others hunted. Knowledge could pass from older members to younger ones. Injured people sometimes survived long enough for their bones to heal, suggesting that early communities supported members who could not immediately support themselves. The group became another layer between the individual and winter. That may be the most important part of the story. Ancient humans did not defeat cold with one brilliant invention. They stacked many imperfect solutions. They moved with the seasons. They read the landscape. They used caves and rock shelters. They built walls from wood, hide, earth, and bone. They controlled fire. They made clothing fit more closely. They shared food, labor, and information. Each solution covered a weakness in another. Fire without shelter lost heat to the wind. Shelter without clothing limited movement. Clothing without food could not fuel the body. Food without cooperation could disappear after one failed hunt. The true breakthrough was the system. By combining shelter, clothing, fire, planning, mobility, and cooperation, humans created something no single object could provide. A portable zone of survivable climate. Permanent houses came later, but they inherited the same jobs. A roof keeps water out. Walls block wind. Insulation traps air. Heating replaces the hearth. A pantry and refrigerator stabilize food. Roads and power lines connect one household to a much larger support network. Modern homes look completely different from an Ice Age shelter, but the underlying design is familiar. They control heat, they protect stored energy, and they connect people to resources beyond the walls. So ancient humans did not survive winter because they were naturally immune to cold. Many were not. Severe climate shifts could push human populations out of entire regions. Survival depended on adaptation, and adaptation was uneven. Some groups moved, some changed their tools, some built better shelters, some disappeared. The people who endured did something more powerful than simply finding a cave. They learned to build layers of protection around themselves, first a hide, then a fire, then a shelter, then a group. That is the hidden history inside every warm room. A house is not merely a building where humans live. It is a climate humans learn to build for themselves. Subscribe to Blue Line History for more stories about everyday problems, human solutions, and the history behind modern life.